I almost named this video "Siege Battles Are Better Than You Think" because they've gotten more criticism than is warranted. Yes, there are a few things that I wish were implemented differently. I absolutely don't love how defensive towers can be built during a battle, how limited the range is, and how often they miss. I know a lot of folks don't care for the way control points work. I've heard arguments that a defender shouldn't lose a battle while they still have troops just because the attackers reached a certain part of the city. I feel very strongly that this mechanic is actually fine, and I'm going to offer an explanation that I hope will make sense and convince a lot of you to change your mind. The reason is because cities are filled with people, and the job of the military is not so much to defend themselves, but to defend the people. Yes, it's all very abstract in a game like this. We don't see the civilians hiding inside their houses, but trust me, they are there. No defending army in history ever willingly sacrifices all the people they're supposed to be protecting to save themselves. Retreating into a corner where your last few units can make a stand is essentially doing just that. So I think the control point system is actually pretty good. However, in vanilla, I don't like how ineffective walls and gates are at providing much in the way of an obstacle to attacking armies. I think attacking any settlement, but especially walled cities, should be much, much harder than it is in vanilla. When you look at it from a realism perspective, big siege battles were really big deals. The siege of Vicksburg that led to the end of the American Civil War lasted 40 days. The siege of Paris during the Franco-Prussian War lasted 4 months. The siege of Port Arthur by the Japanese lasted 5 months. You get the idea. An army shouldn't be able to walk up to a walled city, attack it without preparation, launch a frontal assault, and take almost no casualties. This is Warhammer Fantasy, and we expect battles to be brutal and costly. Note that I said in vanilla, and that's because there are things that we can do to transform siege battles to be bigger, better, more difficult, and this is something that I really want to emphasize, more rewarding. As a player, it should feel like a big deal. It should give you a real sense of accomplishment when you capture an enemy capital, for example. This sense of accomplishment is something that I think is consistently lacking in vanilla warfare, and it's been a bit of a journey and an obsession of mine to add it into the game. And we can do it thanks to the amazing work done by the modding community. By combining just a few simple mods, the entire siege battle experience can indeed be transformed into something epic. Those of you familiar with my Let's Play series have seen some of these in action. I've got the footage of one of those playing in the background. The Beastmen can't just steamroll Altdorf on their casual stroll through the Empire. Thora can't just roll up and take a Death Gorge from Skarbrand like it's nothing more than a stepping stone on the way to Karak 8 Peaks. Offensives against the tougher objectives have to be planned out and executed methodically, and even then can result in punishing casualties for the winning side. The extra strategic depth provided by making these sieges harder is really nice. Far more often you'll find yourselves having to choose between attacking sooner or taking the time to build up those battering rams and siege towers and cause a little extra attrition to the defenders, and it makes the Lord skills that increase siege attrition actually worth taking. More choices makes for more interesting campaigns. Alright, enough of the build-up. Let's talk about the mods we can use and why. Note that in some cases there are other similar mods that do similar things. For example, there are several different flavors of mods that add extra units to garrisons. I've tried some, but not all. The ones I talk about here are my favorites so far, but I've added to this list as others have recommended their favorites to me, and so I offer this as more of a starting point than an exhaustive list. Please feel free to add suggestions of your own in the comments. I'm breaking this list up into a few different sections to make it easy to mix and match to suit your own preferences. Okay, first off we want the garrisons to be bigger. For that we have 2 mods. The Garrison Upgrade All-in-One. This adds more and better units to the main settlement building chain. With the higher the settlement tier, the better the units. Note that it doesn't kick in until turn 2. Military buildings add garrison. This makes most buildings that provide unit recruitment also add some of those same units to the garrison. Next we want to make those larger garrisons tougher. We can accomplish that with 2 more. The Siege Scaling Garrison buff. This provides bonuses to leadership, attack, and defense based on the tier of the settlement to the defending garrison only, but not to any army stationed there. Garrison training. This adds 1 rank to each unit in every garrison every 10 turns, a nice way to represent the effects of them drilling and preparing. Then we want to make the walls feel like more of a real impediment to the attackers by slowing down ladder climbing with the appropriately named slower ladders climbing 50, or 30, or 70. The number is the percentage amount of climb speed reduction, so 30 makes climbing about 1/3 slower, 50 half speed, and 70 a whopping 2/3 slower. I personally use 50 and find that provides a nice balance. The side effect of this mod is making the building of siege towers much more valuable, giving an extra layer of strategic depth by forcing an attacker to decide between taking the time to build those siege weapons versus accepting the extra casualties from a frontal assault. Finally, I'm going to mention a couple of optional mods in case you really want to go all in on the siege battle difficulty. Longer battles affects a lot of things, but notable for our purposes is doubling the health of gates, which makes siege weapons like battering rams or units with the siege attacker ability much more important. If you do decide to try it, I suggest reading the mod description to see all the other things it changes, and remember that it affects all manual battles, not just siege battles. Realistic replenishment. This one doesn't affect the battles themselves, it just makes the effects of the fighting far more meaningful by cutting replenishment in half. So a siege where the victors took a ton of casualties will take a lot longer to recover from. Similar to the previous mod, this affects all casualties from all types of battles as well as attrition, which I like, but is something to be aware of. Okay, well that's it for now. Hopefully you found a few things here that can rekindle a love for epic, big-scale siege battles. This game really can provide that amazing experience if you want it. Let me know what you think, including any other mods you use to improve the siege battle experience. There are so many terrific mods on the workshop, it's hard for one person to try them all out. One last note, if you do use any of these mods, please remember to show the mod authors how much we appreciate them with a good rating or a complimentary comment. They are enriching our gaming lives with their hard work, and most of them are doing it for free. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.